they kind of get a free pass if they're slowing down below that to let other people pass.
That
so that's
comes
the
in
argument
tomorrow, really.
Yeah, but they all use that argument, don't they? I was below the time because I was letting people pass.
You should have given it more of a gap earlier on.
Well, that's why they try and stagger it coming out of the pit lane. But here, when you're doing multiple laps, it's... that was a bit twitchy from Antonelli. Let's head to Ted down in the pit lane.
Down at McLaren, Crofty, and Oscar's ready to go. The old nose cone came off. They did a quick once-over of the floor, of the front suspension, of the bulkhead, and it was all fine. It's just sitting in the garage now, just chilling out, just getting ready to go. So 3 things on this, Crofty, for your discussion up there in the comm box. One, what's this with all the guys crashing? Do they not know that, you know, it seems a bit more than usual? And although, number 2, now is a good time to do it compared to in qualifying or the race. And 3, is ice cool Oscar just going to shrug this off and say, yeah, mate, crashed, took off the wing, not a problem, let's go out there and attack it? Or is he going to be a little circumspect? And if he is, might that open the door for Lando?
Well, we shall see on that one, Ted, but it's a very intriguing prospect coming up. Let's go trackside, shall we? We saw him when there was no action. Now there's plenty of action. Martin Brundle.
Yeah, down at turn 10, where we saw the incident earlier on. Just look how close these fine wheelsmiths get to that barrier that Hadjar hit. They've got to be close to it as we wait for a car to come through, and you see it appear. They've really got to skim that just the other side of the marshals there as the Williams goes through. Now, you know the ride height of these cars at top speed when the aerodynamics are compressing the suspension, the tyre sidewall. You know the ride height because they spark, they're hitting the ground. As they reduce speed, especially here in Monaco, down to 30-40 miles an hour, the car comes up. But those curves, wild side there from the Alpine. Those curves are still way higher than the ride height of the car. So you see the drivers trying to use the curve to just gently turn the car. And there we go. And that was a lot of curve there from Lando. So his car hops. And you're looking for your suspension to damp that out. But the sidewall of the tyre has no shock absorber. So the car bounces across the road. And when you turn right, you've got to have your weight distribution over on the left-hand side. And if you get it sweet, it's a little sort of hop, skip and a jump. The car settles down in a straight line and you go. And you get perfect traction. And they're big cars to do that in. They're over 2 meters wide, they're over 5 meters long. And so to hit the sweet spot there every time is really hard to do. Ferrari going quite slowly with Charles Leclerc there. Really hard to do, hard to be consistent. And you get a bit of wheel spin, something flying off the RB there. And the barrier on the left-hand side of there that's purple, you've got to be careful not to hit that one as well. So I would say 1 in 20 cars that are coming through here are missing the chicane. The Nouvelle chicane, I hate calling it turn 10 because it's way better than that. So, a lot of action, and there goes the Mercedes to prove the point. There goes the Alpine to prove another point. Back to you.
Thanks ever so much, Martin. That was the Alpine of Colapinto going through the chicane there. A lot happening out on track currently. Hamilton fastest from Alonso and Leclerc, the top 3. Drivers still, well, Hamilton still with his best time on the medium tyre. He hasn't actually put the soft tyres on in this session. Ollie Behrman's going to be investigated for a red flag infringement after the session. Did he leave the pit lane? I wonder, with the red flag. With the red flag coming out, did he leave the pit lane just a little bit too late on that?
It could be also speed, because you're meant to follow a delta time when the red flag comes out. So
yeah, it
could be a speed thing as well. One
thing to say, Haas is still waiting for a reply from the FIA about the qualifying mix-up in Imola last week. They actually asked for an explanation from the FIA as to why Ollie Behrman's lap time was deleted because the red flag came out. I've read the sporting regulations, JB. I can't find a bit that says your lap time gets deleted, but I'm not a steward.
Yeah, it's Trouble is, it's all very late anyway, isn't it? None of it matters anymore for him. It's just a pain. Interestingly, Charles he's got the third quickest lap, and he's only been out on the hard tyre. He's just put the soft on, so it'd been nice to see what he can do out there.
Yeah, I mean, the lap time between Leclerc and Hamilton within a tenth of each other, you know, on two different types of tyre, isn't it? So yeah, it's quite hard to work out. And then, you know, obviously you got Alonso on the soft, but you got Russell on the soft, slower than the two Ferraris. So it is a bit confusing.
It is, isn't it? And Hulkenberg up there as well, obviously on the soft tyre. But it's a good lap by him. They're all still finding their feet, aren't they, though, and trying to find some clear track. Oh, a bit of debris on the track.
Charles Leclerc said there was a bit of debris, not for long. Paper.
In my front wing, I should have said.
Yeah, that needs to be just removed a little bit. Isaac Hadjar, by the way, is back on track. Oscar Piastri is back on track. Here's Esteban Ocon going to the swimming pool chicane. Oh.
Yeah, he went a bit deep through the first part, didn't he?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Well, to be honest, I thought he took a little bit of curve there, and then obviously there was a Red Bull backing up to try and make a gap in front of him, and he actually hit the wall.
That was that wasn't even on his time lap. It backed off and getting ready to go, I think.
Yes. He's a bit off, isn't he? He's about 4 tenths off Behrman. And actually, I was talking to some of the team members. They're saying even in Imola, Behrman was, if he'd got that lap, that, you know, the controversial one on the red flag, Behrman would have been in the top 10. He would have been, you know, up there, and his race pace was very good. Whereas,
Charles Leclerc.
Wow, look at this pace.
Flying here.
That looks good out there, doesn't it?
At times, it looks really, really good, to be fair. And at times it looks all a little bit scrappy, and the word keeps coming. You talk to anyone at Ferrari and they're still playing down any expectations for this weekend, but there's half a second between Leclerc and Alonso, and we're into the 1:11.4s now, on board with Lando Norris, who's lost time.
So he found 7 tenths, Crofty, between the hard tyre and the soft. So we'll see what Lewis finds between the medium and soft, as we see here comes Lando Norris.
To the line, Lando Norris. Where's this going to put him? Stays 8th fastest. As I say, he lost time continually through there, and it wasn't necessarily because of traffic.
I don't think it's a new set, though, is it? Or is this one that was an interrupted run?
I would imagine it is a new set, because it's the first time he's put the softs on in this session. Now, Lewis Hamilton finds himself behind Isaac Hadjar, and that's going to cause him to back off. And that's why they fill for several laps pushing around Monaco. And with Hamilton backing off, now Behrman's backing off, now Lawson's backing off, now Bortoletto's backing off, and eventually Sainz and Gasly are going to have to try and back off as well. And that's all happening between the final corner and Rascat. Now we're on board with Lewis Hamilton. So keep us through this one, Jamie.
Yeah, you can see he didn't quite have the temperature in the tyres. The front right lock-up. Oh, it's so bumpy, isn't it, on the way up to Casino Square. Carrying a lot of speed through there, and it feels even quicker than this in the car. It's just insanely quick. Little front lock-up there on the right. That's pretty normal. There, he's backed off.
Is it bumpier going into Casino Square, because that's where the resurfacing stops and then the old surface comes through?
Yeah, and also these cars, you have to run them low, don't you, for the ground effect, so it's lower than previous years. But no, I don't think his tyres were in the window. They weren't ready for a push lap then. And in Monaco and in FP2, you know, you can do a lap on a set of soft tyres, slow down, set a lap, slow down, set a lap. You know, you can get many laps on a set of tyres around here, and the circuit's improving so much.
The unknown this year, of course, though, C6 tyres. How many laps can you get out of a C6 tyre? Because this year's medium was last year's soft. That they knew about, but this year they don't know quite how this one's going to go.
Yeah, the thing is, Crofty, this is a circuit which is also about driver confidence, unlike Imola, where we had the C6. And I think, to add to Jensen's point, the drivers learn with every lap, and they build that confidence, which is sometimes, even if the tyres lost a little bit of the peak performance, the driver confidence sort of compensates for that, and so the lap time can improve.
So is this all about confidence from Leclerc today? Is that what we're seeing? Last year's race winner from pole position. Has he come here full of confidence when he's got into the car?
Yeah, and the thing is, he's getting in the lap and going bang, first lap with the tyre, which puts him in good stead, because when we get to qualifying, it won't be the 3rd or 5th lap. especially when you get through Q2 into Q3, it's going to be bang, getting it done on lap 1, and he's got the confidence to do that, whereas other people have to find that confidence.
I don't know if hustly is a verb, but that was really hustly from Charles Leclerc, kind of manhandling it through some of those corners.
Yeah.
I mean, he's nearly half a second up on Lando. And that's Lando also on a new set, as you were saying before. So, super impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you say engine mode, right? This isn't an engine power-sensitive circuit.
Right.
Half a second is a big margin. Verstappen's struggling, nearly 8/10 off.
When you look at it compared to Charles has good, strong front end. He's able to muscle the car around here. But Max isn't able to do that with Red Bull. It has too much understeer in it. And then you're just left there waiting until the front grips.
So who's out of place here a little bit? You'd say maybe Kimi Antonelli. He's just gone 13th fastest in the Mercedes. His teammate George Russell only 11th fastest. So maybe that is where Mercedes are currently. That was close.
The rear kicked out of Linecrofty, the first part of the swimming pool. He caught it, but
I think he touched the wall there.
He might have scraped it.
That's the second.
He did.
Yeah.
He survives though.
Yeah. Williams looking strong again, aren't they? 4th and 6th so far.
Alex P4 under a 10th behind Lando in P2. So yeah, you'd say that they are looking strong.
Right, is Oscar Piastri going to be circumspect, or is he going to really go for it, is the question that was posed by Ted Kravitz. And now he's got his teammate backing out of the way as he makes his way around Raskas. But through the first 2 sectors, he was already half a second down on the best time that we've seen from Charles Leclerc. Getting on the power, it looks like the McLaren front end was just struggling for a bit of grip on the main straight there.
Yeah, that's the thing around here as well. You can't have an understeery car. You know, you obviously want the rear grip for traction, but you've got to get the car placed. You know, if you don't have the car turned, you can't use that positive traction, so you need a strong front end, and he didn't have that.
A bit like Alex Albon.
Yeah.
It is a terrible last sector for Piastri. He lost half a second just in the last sector.
I have to say, though, the Ferrari, the front end looks really, really strong in that initial turn in.
Lewis Hamilton next then to try and set a lap and improve. He's currently on a 1:12.0.
So is there something, Jensen, that we think in the high downforce package? Because one of the things we said about Ferrari, right, recently is the race pace has been great, but they've not been able to hit that peak performance. We saw in Imola, we saw Miami. The Imola race, as soon as he had free air, Leclerc was as quick as the cars up front. Do we think that in the peak downforce configuration, everyone's having it on the car a bit higher here in Monaco because of it? Suddenly the Ferrari isn't as relatively uncompetitive, should we say, over one lap?
Yeah, and funnily enough, they've actually got a rear wing on it they haven't used all year. It's from last year.
Yeah.
Funnily enough. Oh, that was close.
Through to back.
He kissed it, didn't he?
Yeah. Barely the width of a bit of paper, if anything at all, between Verstappen and the barriers. Lando Norris has just put in the fastest middle sector, but he's still 3/10 behind Charles Leclerc. Verstappen dashes towards the line, crosses it, now goes 6th fastest, just goes ahead of Carlos Sainz, who still, Carlos Sainz has his best time on the medium tyres. In fact, hasn't used those soft tyres for about 7 laps now. Ollie Behrman is another one that's running the medium tyre.
Yeah, Carlos ran the opposite run plan, didn't he?
Yeah.
He and Behrman went soft first, then medium. So, yeah, just a bit of data gathering for the team, I guess, running the contra strategy there.
Shall we head trackside once again to the swimming pool entry? And there, with his trunks on, Martin Brundle is waiting for us.
I am indeed. This is the entrance to the swimming pool. When we see them come through there, you can see the yaw on the car as they turn in at high speed. And this is terrifying. White flags fly with cars going slowly. Lando Norris comes through. And then somebody will rock up like Leclerc in the Ferrari. Absolutely flat out on a flyer. Charles Leclerc. Sauber comes through too. So you can see the speed differential. But as they pitch the car in, they're still accelerating hard, still going up the gears. That one's going slowly. Wow, that was Tsunoda coming through there. And the back of the car is just really rolling. Sidewall of the tyre complaining. Car's going, and you can just see the slide to make the car turn through the corner. They have to run those 2 curves, you can see that. You can hear it. that vibration is just, yeah, that was an Aston Martin.
No one is doing the 10.
Opposite
It's
lock
so distracting.
coming through there. That
Why they
time,
missed
I
the
can
corner?
smell the floor of the car
why
burning.
you are
There's a bump there,
allowed
you can
to?
see where the floors of the cars are hitting the racetrack. Through here, they have got the speed. They are running lower to the ground and a few bumps. And again, the RB with a lot of oversteer, back end sliding coming through there. Wonderful spot to watch a Formula One car and a Formula One driver pushing their luck. And there's nowhere to go if you get it wrong. Back to you.
Thanks, Martin. Martin Brundle trackside. Be back in the commentary box tomorrow as Liam Lawson goes third fastest. Fernando Alonso in the top 5. It's Ferrari, McLaren, Racing Bulls, Ferrari and Aston Martin. Where's Isaac Hadjar going to put his Racing Bulls? Crosses the line now. Only 16th fastest for the man who caused the first red flag of this session. Lando Norris will cross the line. That's that lap, no improvements whatsoever. And Oscar Piastri, after his brush with the barriers, down in 12th. Shall we just say, Jenson Button and Karun Chandler, this is not what we necessarily thought would be the makeup of the top 5 when we came into the commentary box for this session?
No, I totally agree. And you look at the people that have scraped the barrier or been in the wall, they're all a lot further down, aren't they? When you look at Hadjar, Stroll, also, who else has been off? Piastri as well. It definitely sets you back a little bit. You need every single lap around this place to build confidence.
And still Carlos Sainz and Ollie Behrman to come on the soft tyre, or maybe another soft tyre, although they do their runs a little bit earlier, and therefore you won't see them in the top 5 because the track hadn't evolved by that stage.
We've got a race on our hands.
Well, it's Lawson behind Hamilton. Cue radio message.
Yeah, mate, these guys. Lewis, I don't know.
Yeah, traffic paradise there.
Traffic paradise. He gets past Hamilton eventually. This is Charles Leclerc en route to the first corner.
He snatched the front, and but still made the apex, didn't he? Just a little bit of under rotation. Then
he actually turned in more. When he locked the front,
yeah,
he actually turned more to make sure he made the corner, and he took a lot of apex curve, which saved him.
Lewis has gone second quickest within a 10th.
He has.
Or just over a 10th.
A Ferrari 1-2. Now, overnight we'll look at some data traces. I'm looking at the speed trap. Guess what? The Ferraris, Hamilton and Leclerc, are fastest in the speed trap. And I'm just putting it out there that I think that they've got their engines up a little bit more than others. I know it's not a power-sensitive circuit necessarily, but I just think they might be running a slightly higher engine mode than others today.
Absolutely possible. You know.
It's not that I don't want to believe it, you know. Great, Charles Leclerc comes back, wins here this year. What a phenomenal story that will be. You know, Lewis Hamilton wins for Ferrari. What a phenomenal story that will be. Lewis Hamilton, the first man to race car number 44 for Ferrari in Monaco since Maurice Trontignan back in the day, 70 years ago this weekend, when he went and won it. So, you know, that will be quite the story. But I don't quite believe, from what I was hearing beforehand from Ferrari to what I'm seeing now, that come tomorrow, they're going to be 1 and 2.
Yeah, and they have been very good in the first sector, which is straight, turn 1 and up the hill. And up the hill is where you know, if you have more power, you really see the difference.
I concur. So it will all be revealed in 24 hours, won't it, when we get to Q3.
Watch this run from Piastri, by the way. He's on a flying lap at the moment, and he's almost got the track to himself, and certainly this bit to himself. And there, look, he's just gone fastest through the middle sector, which is an 18.8 for the first sector, so he's 4/10 down on Charles Leclerc, and trying to make up time as he went along. Don't forget, Max Verstappen made up 2/10 in the final sector to get pole here a couple of years ago on Fernando Alonso. Liam Lawson out on the track and encountering some slow-moving cars.
Yeah, mate, these guys. Lewis, I don't know.
Yeah, traffic paradise there.
Not the first time I've seen a Ferrari going slowly around that corner. Normally they're dropping people off at the hotel.
Yeah, we always used to have an agreement that we wouldn't go slow through the tunnel, but obviously that's not the case anymore.
And Oscar Piastri has just gone third fastest. He picked up a lot of time through the middle part of his lap.
You know, after China, when Liam Lawson got the boot from Red Bull,
Yes.
what would you have put a bet on to say he was going to be the fastest Red Bull on Friday in Monte Carlo?
Not necessarily, but that is the thing about this track. It springs up a surprise or three and everything's an opportunity. Let's go to the Williams pit wall, shall we? James Vowles is with us. James, talk us through this session, if you don't mind. Carlos Sainz seemed to be doing things a different way to Alex Albon. What's the thinking behind that?
I mean, what we're experimenting on is whether the medium or the soft is the right tyre for qualifying. You saw last week in Imola, the medium was actually quite a strong tyre in those conditions, and we were evaluating it here. So the way to do it is just an A/B test, but inverted between the two cars.
What's the best tyre for qualifying then?
You'll find out on Saturday, as it turns out.
Oh, such a spoil sport.
James, what are the drivers feeling, just for the viewers to understand what the drivers' feedback would be around Monaco? Because it just looks so frantic, doesn't it? What are they finding is the weakness, the strength? Where do they want to improve?
Yeah, you're spot on, it's frantic. I mean, it's the tracks moving forward so quickly that even in the last 5 minutes, you see cars are taking another half second out of it. The main feedback at the moment is the front tyres aren't working. That's not unique to Williams, that's across the board. So getting that working just gives you a completely different balance. So as you do lap after lap after lap, your balance changes significantly. That's their main complaint right now.
James, I know it's been a long time since you've been a strategist, but can we just try and talk a little bit about Sunday for the viewers at home, because we've got this unique situation of a mandatory two-stop race. You know, what are we going to see? Are we going to see people pitting on lap 1, lap 2? Are we going to see people pitting on lap 76, 77? What do you reckon?
I don't think you'll see them pitting that late on in the race. I think this is just hazarding a little bit of a guess, but if you were towards the back end of the field, taking that early stop, exactly what you said, lap 1, may be a good thing to do, because you get a free pit stop, you can probably close back into the field. And for everyone else at the front, I think you've got to start getting a move on with things, and that's very different to how we've raced Monaco before. Very often at Monaco, we'll just manage the pace for 20 or 30 laps.
Could it be, as we see Isaac Hadjar with a bit of wrap around from the advertising hoardings on his front left, could it be a disadvantage this year to qualify kind of 5th down to 10th, because you're less in a position to take a strategic gamble?
I'd much rather be 5th to 10th than I would be 11th to 13th, if that helps.
Well, yeah, no, fair enough on that one. James, we're going to have to leave it there because Isaac Hadjar's having a real time of it. We'll speak to you again tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
Speak soon.
Has he hit the barrier again there?
Rear left again.
Quite hard.
Yeah, turn 1, I'm guessing, because it was Casino Square where we first saw the barrier covering hanging off the car.
He's kind of driving that at an angle that a plane sometimes lands at. You know, trying to go straight with a bit of side wind.
God, the rear left suspension has had a tough time, isn't it?
Man, I am so stupid. I think I'm just dumb.
Instant feedback from Isaac Hadjar. I don't think he's stupid or dumb, but he's very self-critical because there's 2 mistakes that obviously he's made that are just contributing to the pain for the afternoon.
It's got the pain of a distressed goat, that rear left suspension, hasn't it? It's just crabbing along.
And annoyingly for him, he just put in a good lap, just behind his teammate Lawson.
Yeah.
Up into P6.
He's coming in now. Ted, down to you.
Aye. Wasn't that what he said on a previous excursion earlier in? And yeah, this one, I think I can say 90% chance of this taking much more time and not being able to get out. It doesn't look like everything is good. Oh, he's just shaking his head in the cockpit as Isaac. He was given that second chance by the quick work from the RB, the Racing Bulls mechanics. But yeah, It's cost him. I mean, how many more laps did he get? He got about half an hour's on track time, didn't he?
He did that. We're just seeing a replay now of what happened in turn one. Back end steps out, and you heard the whack, and then he picked up some. He picked up the cover of some of the advertising down there.
Too close.
Too close. We'll just say hit it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, he is very self-critical. I think he needs to be a bit careful with that, personally, because if he's saying it, people might start to believe it if he keeps saying it over and over again.
But you also say the timing screens never lie. 5th and 6th,
yeah.
Lawson and Hadjar. 10th and 11th, Verstappen and Tsunoda.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, he's quick. He can do the lap. He's just going to keep out of the wall. Yeah, it's happened a couple of times in this session. It's not been perfect, but regroup. Tomorrow, he'll come out and he'll be strong. As long as he can get it past this moment in time, mentally, that's the issue, because it can just spiral.
It's interesting that Williams have tried the comparison, the medium tyre to the soft, to see if it is a better qualifying tyre. I almost feel for some further down the grid, Karun Chandok, that in Q1 the medium tyre might not be a bad idea, because at least the performance life of the tyre will go that much longer into the 18 minutes.
Correct. And yeah, and it's, as we were saying before, it's a track where you've got to build the confidence as the session unfolds. But you've also got to be careful with timing, Crofty, haven't you? We've seen, you know, the race directors pretty quick at throwing out a red flag. For example, you know, when Piastri hit the wall, I half expected it to be a VSC for that front wing to be clear, because he was on his way.
Verstappen down.
And Verstappen down there.
The cars are going in reverse.
So he's trying to get it into reverse, JB, and he's struggling. You see the R on the dashboard.
It's happened now.
He's got it.
Got it now. At yeah, Strasser Rosberg at Mirabeau.
Is that because that's where he used to have a house?
Something like
that. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like driving down that road.
It's where he went and had a rest in qualifying before finding reverse.
They're finding the limits, aren't they?
Yeah. And you know, we got 6 minutes of the session to go. It's been a tough day for Red Bull, hasn't it? 10th and 11th when the junior team is further up the road. We've seen this in the past, though, where we've seen the Racing Bulls run a higher engine mode on the Fridays, and then inevitably in qualifying that gets swapped around. So let's see how that unfolds. But Ferrari's a big story, even though, by the way, Oscar Piastri now, we missed that. He's only 38 thousandths behind. So Piastri has snuck in between the two Ferraris, but this is still a very impressive day for Ferrari, considering the expectations coming in.
So Piastri went later with those 2 laps that got him up a bit nearer to Charles Leclerc. So there's a bit of track evolution in that as well. Sorry, Kieran.
Yeah, no, and I guess it's impressive in Ferrari if your caveat around engine modes is incorrect. If that happens to be true, then it's like, okay, actually they are behind McLaren perhaps.
On board with George Russell into the chicane. It is officially the Nouvelle chicane, but it was the new chicane quite a long time ago.
So you're just saying in a different language, you mean?
Well, Nouvelle is new, isn't it, right?
Well, yeah, but you just said it used to be the new chicane, now it's the Nouvelle chicane.
Well, it's just French and English on that one, right? Whatever.
Italian as well. Neither of us understand your point here. What are you trying to say?
Trying to say, is it still the new chicane, or is it just the chicane? Because it was the new chicane a long time ago when it first came in.
See.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm bothered.
That is running low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mercedes up there. A little bit aggressive for the spine, that one, I would say.
Well, they'll certainly analyse the skid block wear, and if they can get away with it, you know, if it's not going to be illegal by the end of the race, they might have found the sweet spot. You never know, but maybe it is a bit too low with Antonelli currently 9th, George Russell running in 12th. Yuki Tsunoda, by the way, going to be investigated after the session for a yellow flag infringement as he not slowed down sufficiently when the yellow flags were out. And there's been plenty of yellow and red flags, blue and white, flying in this session.
Oh, he's got something hanging off under his car.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's rubber. No, it's not.
What's that?
It's a blue tape snake.
So it's once again, it's part of the wraparound. You can see there that the barrier has a wraparound for the sponsors. Now, we've seen this in the past, Singapore possibly, where they've used that kind of polystyrene plastic, and the forces of the cars have just kind of ripped it off, or the cars have gone onto the barrier and ripped it off. And what's wrong with just painting it on there so you're not running the risk of a load of debris, you know, and bits of polystyrene, bits of plastic coming onto the track, because this wraparound is all the way around the track, isn't it?
I guess if you paint it on, that's it.
Yeah, if you paint it on, it's not a problem.
I just mean for the future, when they change sponsors.
But my theory is on this, JB, that it doesn't take much for one of those to get stuck into like the engine air take. Or
Also, you can repaint it every year.
Yeah.
Well, you could. It would look pretty ugly though, especially if you're painting white on black.
That's what
There's a lot of white paint needed.
That's what they do elsewhere, but
A lot of tracks are like this now. Pretty much most tracks have. It's not painted. You might think it is, but it's a different type of barrier. It is. It's like that.
To me, you're looking at a risk of a lot of this stuff coming off when cars scrape the barrier, and then it just kind of flies into parts that you don't want, get stuck in a front wing, ruins a race. That sort of issue.
Yes.
I mean, if you get that in the radiator or the air intake of the engine, you're done.
Yeah.
Or brake duct.
You remember when we weren't allowed to throw tear-offs out the car?
In Singapore.
No,
anywhere.
The whole season. Then you had a pocket.
You had a little pocket in the car. You took it off and put it in your little pocket in the car.
And how many times did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the trouble is you used to stick to your hand when you went to put it in, and then you'd pick it out and it would fly off again. So, yeah, it wasn't the best.
It didn't last that long, did it?
It didn't last
a year, maybe?
Yeah.
Just 1 year.
It's windscreen wipers on the visor. That's what it needs.
Exactly.
Then you're sorted.
So we're running high fuel now. It's amazing how different the cars look, isn't it? With high fuel on board. A lot less nimble.
Colapinto a second off Gasly today. I don't think we got to see his lap if there was any obvious mistake, but that's a big margin.
You'd say he didn't really get a lap if he's 2 seconds off. 0.8 seconds off P19. That's a surprisingly big gap.
Yeah.
It's his third consecutive year racing here in Monaco. He was in F3, then F2, then F1 for this year, along with Gabriel Bortoleto. 3 different series in 3 consecutive years for Franco Colapinto, who, by the way, is 22 years of age next Tuesday.
Happy birthday in advance.
And talking of Gabriel Bortoleto, here he is.
Oh, I just kissed it there.
Yeah.
On the right. Here we go.
That's fine.
That could be the way to do it.
And then he took a couple of stabs at the apex. You see that? He turned in, wasn't sure, turned back in.
Notice how they don't have that wraparound on that bit of the barrier, because they know that the cars are going to be kissing
touch
that one.
Yeah. Yes. You see how different the Red Bull looks through there compared to the Mercedes. It's not hitting the ground under braking. They're running the ride heights very differently.
Red Bull, but Fridays from Red Bull, we often hear, don't we? Things aren't great. Things weren't right. And then come Saturday, then Max Verstappen is right up there in contention. Their turnaround is pretty impressive. A different floor, by the way, Verstappen to Tsunoda for today.
I'm wondering how much simulator Max actually does at Red Bull.
He said he was there last week.
Okay.
Oh, in between Imola and here. He obviously does a fair bit at home as well, where he's got his own setup there.
Because the problem for him is that he's able to drive this car the way it is, and most others struggle, pretty much everyone else struggles, to drive his type of setup. So you wouldn't want someone else doing the setup work in the simulator. He's got to do it all himself, basically.
Yeah. Checkered flag then, and this is the final lap of the session for Max Verstappen. Race pace simulations going on. And that's... The interruptions, I don't think, helped in that session at all to establish a flow, although Max was saying yesterday that as a driver you never really get a flow and a rhythm around Monaco. It's important, but because of all the interruptions it's very tricky to try and achieve. But a couple of couple of interruptions at the wrong time, just as drivers are starting to get really dialed in, and then a little bit later on, first for the Isaac Hadja crash and then for the Oscar Piastri crash, and Piastri recovered well to end up just under 4/100ths of a second behind Charles Leclerc.
So Charles and Max, the only two to be in the 1:13s on the last couple of laps of that run. Everyone else in the 14s or 15s. So it's pretty quick actually on high fuel.
Yeah,
to be able to do 13s.
It's for the teams, for strategy for Sunday. It's trying to establish a benchmark target lap time that they know will need to be quicker than last year because of the 2 pit stop rule, but not so much that it really destroys the tyres because they're going too quickly.
There's going to be a lot of radio traffic in the race, isn't there? You know, the leaders wondering what other people are doing, how many have pitted, the start of the race, and how much they need to push to fill a gap. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of communication, which I love, and we're going to hear it all.
Yeah, no further action. Yuki Tsunoda for that yellow flag infringement. The stewards have already had a look at it. Confidence boosting afternoon for Liam Lawson. His teammate, had pace as well, and Isaac Hadji was only a couple of hundredths of a second off him. But Lawson will need that, and it's good to see as well. Now,
front graining, isn't it, on the front?
Yeah.
Front right.